Ladies, gentlemen, and arisen of all ages, there are quite a massive amount of items in this game, from equipment to just interesting things that are around the place, and while vendors sell a lot of things within the game, there are a ton of items of all kinds that are hidden around the world in some particularly unusual places, or even locked behind some obscure quests or such that just makes them either a rarity to see people actually have, or some of these are just slightly rare, but either have good enough stats or look visually cool enough to make them really worth pointing out to people for anyone who didn't find them themselves. So today we're going to go over a nice collection of a large number of such items for anyone interested within their existence. First things first, this is probably the rarest item that I have found, which is Brunhilda's Embrace. This is an armor piece for fighter, warrior, and mystic spearhand, and before you say it, yes, it is just about as skimpy as the armor in this game can get, but it is definitely the sort of good kind of skimpy where it is at least aesthetically pleasing. Some fun, more proper armory bits to it to make it feel a little bit more like a battling barbarian than just skin for skin's sake. It looks nice for sure, and if you actually want it as part of your own collection, this is the fun part. This is in the volcanic island camp once you reach that area, and specifically it is in the restricted area of the hot springs itself. If you try to enter this area while a patron of the hot springs, you will be removed. So the trick is to enter the hot springs by climbing up the back of the actual vendor stand up these rocks and entering illegally. Then drop off of this cliff in the back section to open the fancy chest down here. Second up today then we have the Ring of Momentum. This increases your maximum stamina by 150, which is actually quite a large amount, and there are a couple of ways to get this. The first is a particularly rare drop. This actually has a 0.22% chance to drop from any cyclops that you kill within the game, so technically speaking, you could have this item within like 10 to 15 minutes of gameplay if you're really lucky. You could have two of them in like 20 minutes if you're really lucky. That said, there is a much more guaranteed way to actually get it than that insane RNG pull, and that is over here on the western side of the map, right over on this marker. This spot is right beside a waterfall. You want to follow the eastern path here to its edge, then just climb up the rocks and you will see it at the top of them. This thing is perfect for any of you who want high stamina to let you bump out more weapon skills. An extra 150 is quite a lot, and while having two of them would be ideal, of course, this at least gives you the first one guaranteed, only needing to try for that 0.22% drop chance for your second find. Next up then we have one that a few more people have found, but many of them have still missed, and that is the Stargazer armor and its matching lower half, as well as a number of other items that come from the same place. This is aesthetically just a very nice armor set, and of course it can cover multiple different vocations, and it has pretty solid stats too, surprisingly for how it looks. As for getting it then, you need to go to this spot right here, the middle of all of the rope lifts in Batal. At the top of this section is a wandering merchant, which is easily missed because often there is combat whenever you come here, and the merchants don't act as merchants when there's a fight going on obviously, so you do have to clear the enemies before you can actually interact with them, so a lot of people do actually just miss that they are a vendor in the first place. Then after that we have a pair of items in the same spot. These are the doomdove turban, a trickster exclusive helmet. Of course, Warfare can also use it though, for obvious reasons. Very pretty looking in my personal opinion, and then also the abyssinal neck wrap, which is just a really nice, sort of slim, somewhat ragged but fashionable cape for you to wear around if you please. As for where these actually are then, they are in the tomb of Amrana in Batal, which is actually just slightly south of that central rope lift station that we just talked about. Come down this area, and south of it there is a tiny little hole. Inside of the hole there is an entrance to a hidden tomb. Walk in here and you'll find floors that break. Purposefully you want to fall down them twice in different ones to find yourself at the bottom of the tomb. Continue down the stairs from here even to get a little bit further to find yourself surrounded by skeletons, but also with a chest at the end of the room that has the helmet in it. Then if you go back to the room before, you can shoot open a breakable wall to find a chest with the back piece in as well. After that, let's move on to the volcanic island, and this is less of a specific item than another merchant with a bunch of stuff. This is Zachary the Wandering Merchant, and he sells some of genuinely the best gear in the whole game. He just has a very limited stock of the actual items. As for where to find him, he is in the excavation camp on the volcanic island. He's not actually marked on the map as a merchant because he is a wandering one, but he sets up literally right next to the apothecary in this area. Then we have another sort of pair, a pretty strong pair of items, of fire weapons to be exact, one for fighter being Molten Fury, the strongest mace and arguably third strongest fighter weapon as a whole in the game if you add on the elemental damage that it has too. As well, we have cinderspine for the warrior, which again is the actually best hammer for warrior, but arguably the best warrior weapon at all before the endgame. If you count the elemental damage as being worth more than literally 8 strength between it and the non-element sword competitor. As for where to get these then, this is the mountain-based cave on the volcanic island. This is a part of a specific optional story quest, but even the weapons here inside aren't that obvious, so let's point them out specifically. If you go along the main path of the cave, you will eventually reach this room over here, which has a mystical pool of burning hot goop in a bowl. To the right of said bowl of goop is a chest that has the mace inside of it. If you were to then turn back around and go back the way you came, then fork left instead of right, you will instead find a shortcut back to the entrance of the cave that also involves a bit of a jump. If you get the jump correctly, you will land right beside another chest, which happens to contain the hammer that we're after as well. After that then, let's talk about the Ring of Amplification. This item itself isn't the most exciting necessarily. It boosts the power of curatives, which is definitely occasionally useful, but a lot of the healing in this game is usually done through spells of some sort. That said, it is quite rare, as it has like 5 different failure conditions on it, so let's run through it quickly. The start of this is when you first arrive in Batal and you're asked to help stop an assassin from killing the Empress. You can easily fail at this if you get the wrong culprit, but if you succeed, the quest will continue. A few days later, the assassin will be in the prison of the town, and you can give him 5,000 gold in exchange for information. Talk to Manala, who will now have moved to the hot springs in the volcanic island camp, which is quite a trek away, but she will tell you that you should plant this information into the coral snakes, who now also happen to have another member in said prison. Do so and then talk to Manala in Batal, in the city itself now, and she will tell you to meet her at a specific house not too far out. Then here comes the specific part of it. Agree to let the Empress help out in the plan herself instead of using a double. Don't use a fake Empress, they will find out. Then a person will come in and ask you to prove your loyalty to them by killing the Empress yourself. Draw your weapon to prove said loyalty, but don't worry, you don't have to actually do anything dangerous, because just drawing your weapon is how you get the correct ending here. Anything short of that, though, ends with the assailant killing themselves before you can get more information, and does not get you this ring as a reward as a result. But if you follow all those steps, you do get the ring. On which note, let's talk about another quest-based ring, the Ring of Benevolence. This one is definitely much more usable, though still a bit niche, making it so every time that you take a hit for a large enough portion of your health, you will recover about 25% of your maximum HP over a few seconds afterwards. As far as getting this one, it is the reward for what is technically Wilhelmina's romance quest, the sort of matriarch of the boudoir. Once you have met her within the story itself, as happens within a couple of different early missions, you can go meet up with her in her establishment in Vernworth and offer her bunches of flowers. You want to offer her one of these, then wait one full day on a bench outside, rest in your house, whatever you want to do, then give her another one, so that you don't actually waste any, as affinity is capped at 1 gain per day. Do this a couple of times and then she will stop accepting gifts from you. When this happens, you want to leave the city, go pretty much anywhere else, rest for a day while you're there, then you can go back to the city and see Wilhelmina again. From here, a quest will develop, and once the ensuing cutscenes finish, you want to go talk to Sven in his bedroom in the palace. He will send you to find Patrick, who will give you some hints and then distract the minister that you are trying to find evidence on. After that, it will tell you to go to the minister's house, so go there, go up to the 2nd floor, and in his office you can essentially just find full proof that he committed murders. Bring this back to Wilhelmina, and the quest will essentially be complete from there. A couple of cutscenes will play, and if you then go back to visit Wilhelmina the day after this happens, you'll get this ring and some gold as your reward. After that, we have the Crimson Teeth daggers. These are the 2nd strongest daggers before Endgame or New Game Plus, so they are extremely strong, but they are not only able to be found in the wild for free in the world, but are in a somewhat odd location too. This is Salbatal Cave. It is in the sort of winding path leading towards Dragon's Breath Tower in the southwest. Once you reach this part of the path here, you need to actually go off-road a fair bit up the hill and through some hidden paths as well to get to the cave itself, so it makes it an often missed one by many players who aren't really scouring every corner of the map. But the cave itself is relatively short once you find it, and a very short walk inside of it itself. Over here you will find a chest that has the daggers. Then next up we have the Indomitable armor, a warrior armor set that is quite unique and actually really genuinely cool. With a good gold classic spiked shoulder pad look that most warriors love, really, this is a reasonably good statistic armor piece, but a high tier fashion one for certain. As far as acquiring it then, this one is in Drabnir's Grotto, the cave that connects Batal with the volcanic island, and it is in one of the offshoot little goblin caves near the western entrance. Inside of here, you just want to take the 2nd left into a cave right here. Follow it along until the 2nd open chamber, and in here is a chest containing the armor, in a place that seems so simple, but is yet quite often missed. Finally then today, let's head back over to Vermund and show a spot that I bet the vast majority of you do not know about, even regardless of Vermund being the most explored region as of this point in the whole game, as it is the early section, of course. East of the city itself, there is going to be some farmland. East of that farmland, the road will end, and there is some off-road movement that you can do if you work out that it exists. If you do that and then slide back to this sort of southern tip, you can find a cave very carefully placed at the most hidden angle that you could possibly put it here, inaccessible from the side where you can somewhat see its entrance completely, so you have to go around once you've even spotted it. The cave itself is short with a couple of asps inside of it, and then just a chest at the end of it that has our last 2 items, the Bush Raider pants, which aren't really fantastic, but they are an interesting visual option if you like them, and then the much more impressive Ring of Resiliency, which just gives you a nice boost to your defense stat in general, all the time, permanently, and defense is great, obviously. And that just about does it for today then, everyone. A nice meaty collection of rare and hidden bits around the map of Dragons Dogma 2. I hope you've all enjoyed this, and hopefully you've learned something to help you out in your continued journey with the game. Of course, if you know of any other rare things like this, feel free to leave them in the comments down below. Like if you liked the video, subscribe to the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.